pieces to put it together, and they need to score greater than their average tonight to have a chance to beat a high-flying Murray State team.
Bob, your keys to the game are brought to you by Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Designate before you celebrate, because fans don't let fans drive drunk. Well, off we go from Evansville, night 2 of the OVC tournament. And it's the 4-5 matchup with Jacksonville State controlling the first possession. You got 2 first-team All-OVC players on Murray State's side. You got 2 All-OVC players on Jacksonville State's side. And the first miss up by the second-teamer, Brandon Huffman, and out to Murray State.
Huffman's a transfer from North Carolina. One of the neat things I heard today about Huffman that I haven't, and I've had both of these teams so far this season, Huffman, he's just excited to be able to play 3 seasons, pretty much sitting the bench at North Carolina. He wants to get out and play.
Well, you mentioned an injury for Huffman. Injuries for Murray State. DeMond Robinson out for the 3rd consecutive game with a knee injury. So there's the starting lineup for Murray State without Robinson. It's Nicholas McMullen starting for him. And there's the enemy of a couple different teams in this tournament, that baseline. Deontay Bostic steps out.
And it's also the case earlier today. Bostic just kind of lost where he was. A little bit of pressure there. But these are 2 teams also that are very familiar with each other. So you kind of play the game inside the game. What kind of adjustments will they make? Well, Jacksonville State is, as we talked about, has had Murray State's number this season. But this has just clearly not been a typical type year for Murray State. You mentioned that concerning their seeding.
Those starting lineups are brought to you by Jostens, the official recognition company of the OVC. Down to 5 to shoot, and Jalen Finch lost it. So KJ Williams stepping away from the basket to break the seal for Murray State.
Inside, outside, you can kind of see the emotion that Williams plays with. That's a typical play we'll see in the second game tonight as well, but Williams likes to be that trail guy and shoot that 3 in secondary transition.
So there's the steal that came from Chico Carter and led to Carter setting up Williams. So the meeting 2 weeks ago, Jacksonville State wrote a big first half. They outscored Murray by 13 points, were great beyond the arc, but they pounded inside. Brandon Huffman attacks the rim.
Huffman has had 2 great outings against Murray State so far this season, and you just try your best with different schemes to keep him off the boards, but he's a beast, Connor.
And KJ Williams inside this time. That'll be a great matchup all night long, Huffman and Williams.
2 big guys.
You said beast. I think you could identify both guys as beasts. Kane Henry slips to the basket. It's an interesting matchup as well. Kane Henry against Chico Carter. Henry broke out in early February.
And Carter has broken out lately. Now we'll see which one's got the most juice tonight.
Whose breakout is bigger than the others as Chico Carter gets the floater up. That's who you were just talking about. Big scoring numbers for Carter lately. Last 8 games, he really came on. Jalen Finch, a prolific passer. Into Huffman. And Tevin Brown had position, and over the back call goes on Jay Powell of Jacksonville State.
And that's the mismatch if you noticed. Huffman didn't convert on that, but McMillan will come out. Watch this, you'll see it late, and then you'll see the foul late there as well. But Huffman got the matchup he wanted. You can see he and McMillan to the left of your screen.
So for Murray State, it's been a season, we told you, we're not used to saying that Murray State is the lower seed. It's the first time that they haven't had the auto bid to the semifinals as a top seed in 3 years, as KJ Williams is called for the offensive foul, and that's a big thing to watch tonight. Williams was in foul trouble last week.
Very much worth noting. Good point there, Connor, and a little bit of a concern here in the first 3 minutes, and Matt McMahon has just done a fantastic job at Murray State, but again, back to the theme. Everybody's got a story, and this season has been none unlike any other. And I think it's important to just kind of look at how he's handled what many consider to be a subpar Murray State team.
Not used to seeing them at 500 as K.J. Williams swallows up that rebound. Tevin Brown, transition three. He got his own. And Carter goes back inside. From the other time, it's good.
Good choice in by Carter.
Chico Carter, told you about his breakout. 18 points per game for Chico Carter. It's not just a small uptick in scoring for him. It's a big-time one. He got beat on the drive there, but Darian Adams couldn't scoop it home.
Carter also had 27 against Tech and a loss.
So teams coming out cold shooting from three. Both teams, Bob, made 13 threes when they played a week ago.
Well, you can see the formation just offensively last time down the floor for Murray State. They've got three out around the arc.
Turnover back to Murray after this. It's defensive dominant to begin this game. Murray by one at our first break.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went. You can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and
Welcome back to Ford Center. Opening couple of minutes. Murray by one in our third quarter final. And series history, a brief one between Murray and JSU. And it's Murray leading it 3-0. Tournament history brought to you by the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. Partner with us to protect Kentucky's wildlife heritage. So in the regular season, Jacksonville State, first time in program history, they swept Murray State. Chance to make some more history and get their first OVC tournament win against the Racers tonight.
Well, I'm back to your philosophy and the traditional philosophy. It's hard to beat them three times, but I think this Jacksonville State team is kind of built, and I think they're built somewhat differently from Murray State. High-flying Murray State, Jacksonville State, they would like to continue to grind it out and get down into the low post quite a bit, and now they've got some players to be able to accomplish that. That guy, I think, Tevin Brown, is going to be another big difference maker tonight for Murray State.
When he shoots it well, when he scores, it's usually a Murray win.
It just seems to ignite the whole team, and it's just, hard to look at that on a stat sheet. But yeah, Tevin Brown, he's a leader.
So the teams remain cold from three to start. Amanze Ingumezi with his first shot, and there's Brown taking it to the rack. And to your point, Bob, when he's looking like that, aggressive, scoring the ball, it's usually a good night for Murray.
You can almost tell when it comes to Tevin Brown in the classic first 5 minutes. And you can just see his intensity as to whether he's in the game. And that time, he just went coast to coast with it. Created some opportunities for himself.
Well, if you're a Racers fan, I think some in that band have thought, what's going on with Tevin Brown at some points throughout the season. It's still a first-team all-conference player. By many players in this league, he's had a career year. But for him, it's a bit of a riding the wave type year.
Well, I kind of remind you of this. He had 22 the last time these two teams played, and that's not pedestrian at any level, particularly for a team that scores or averages right around 70. He puts 22 of that up for them. That tells you what he can do. And the matchups benefit him between these two teams.
Finch off on a 3. So let's see if Brown can keep going at it. Instead, he defers here to Williams. That was the same spot he hit from earlier. Three-minute drought here for Jacksonville State, and they'll get a chance at the line with Darian Adams, their top scorer. There's Ray Harper. He's in his 5th year. He was the mastermind of the 2017 championship team at the OVC tournament for JSU.
Born and raised not far from this area, and he enjoys coming here to the Ford Center, and why not? He's had pretty good success, and his coaching staff goes deep and it has some really, really great roots. I know you talked to some today. I know some as well. It's a pretty good fit for Jacksonville State, and as they get set to change conferences, you kind of wonder if that's going to change things for them, not only in football, which is what everybody's thinking about that move was about, but basketball as well.
Well, they'll go to the A-Sun as Tevin Brown is rejected. That was a great play by Ngumezi inside there. He tries to pay it off with a 3, and the lid's still on for JSU from deep. They're 0 for 4. Smith turns the corner and gets all the way in. Well, the last 3 weeks, Bob, Smith has been coming off the bench. He's doing it again tonight, and that's a good sign for the Racers, but they couldn't stop Kane Henry.
Big guy from London. So in a perfect world, Henry and Huffman just dominate for you on the inside, and that's just not been the case. They just haven't seemed to be, quote, in sync this season. But if both of those guys can have that big game, that goes back to what we talked about the prowess of rebounding for Jacksonville State.
You think about the last couple weeks, JSU's starting to find themselves. They've won 7 of 8 coming into the tournament. They've got a bunch of new players, and it took a month or 2 to gel, but outside a 4-point loss to Belmont, they've been unbeatable down the stretch. And Jalen Finch with the little runner, and Jacksonville State's found the offense.
I promise you, 2 games I've had Jacksonville State this season, that's exactly what I've seen from Jalen Finch. That's his game. Just penetrating the lane with the floater.
Yeah, and if not, he's a great passer. Williams gets single coverage, and he gets fouled. Ngumezi hacked him.
You know, we always say this a lot in business, but at the end of the day, Jacksonville State needs good minutes out of Ngumezi. And banging Williams around in the low post is challenge enough, but they need him to control Williams as best he can. Otherwise, they're going to have to make some different defensive shifts, and that could be a problem too.
Well, that's the type of possession that Murray State wants to see because, you know, they were so good from 3 in the loss last week against Jacksonville State, but Matt McMahon, the head coach, said that they were not good enough, they were not efficient enough around the basket.
You know, that's why we put that in the notes. And again, you know, typical 4 or 5 game, just play the math of it. You can out-rebound your opponent by 6 or 7, which Jacksonville State hasn't been doing a ton of this season, or has been rather, and that's going to be the big advantage there, and that's where Murray State wants to capitalize. I'll tell you, KJ Williams is one big human being at 6'10", and he's got touch around the basket.
Yep.
Certainly gets the kind of positioning that you would want, so just feed him the basketball.
We've already seen him step out and hit a 3, too. So Finch had the creation, and Purdue knocks it down. Jawan Purdue.
Finch creates. It's just real simple in process, and finding Purdue then.
Yeah, Finch is at 5 assists a game. That's third in the OVC. He's also their leading steals man as well. Miss from Deontay Bostic. And it's a 1-for-6 start for Murray State from downtown. See the start for Jacksonville State. They've gotten some easier looks, but that one unsuccessful for Finch. Well, from that same wing, it's Chico Carter lining it up.
X factor.
You think so?
Yeah, he's been coming on so well lately, and just it looks to be so comfortable into the offense. Yes, he just went down the floor to a spot, but his teammates also know where to find him in that spot.
Huffman has it swirl out down to Devin Gilmore. Yeah, to your point about Chico Carter, not a non-factor last year, but not a consistent factor. He was sick at one point a season ago and also had a hand injury.
Well, and it just committing to being better, and we see that in a lot of players. A big progression from last March to, say, tonight, and I would add Carter in that group.
Well, how about Bostic, what he's done in his freshman season, coming on late?
Yeah, didn't let that miss in the last possession really bother him. And that penetration piece, that's more of Bostic's game as well.
Well, he became a starter midway through January and just closed the season with his best weekend. And a three goes down for Damari King for Jacksonville State.
You liking this so far, partner?
Yeah. I mean, hey, we said 4-5, 3-6. These are the games that you'd expect to be close in the quarterfinals, and quarter of the way through it, here we are, tied at 16. Now that shot's blocked. Smith got in deep, but then Henry swiped it away. And a foul on Smith getting back into the play. So it'll be Jacksonville State ball right after this. And some shots starting to fall here, Bob.
Now, separating these two teams is going to be really difficult when they continue to shoot this well.
You can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went and just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went and just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went and when we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
And nearly 500,000 student athletes. The OVC is committed to continuing to work with administrators, coaches.
Tight one, Bob. Evened up Murray State and Jacksonville State, and you look up and down statistically, this has been right at what our score reads.
Inside game for both teams has been there. Outside game as we went to break with the back-to-back threes. It's got all the elements of a late, inside of 2 minutes kind of decision-making game between these two teams.
They played a close game in the first meeting in Murray, a three-point Jacksonville State win. That was a late rally by Murray State, spurred on by Devin Gilmore. And Huffman banging inside, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Foul is on Murray State's number 32, Nicholas McConnell.
And McMullen's doing a pretty good job, but he's giving up a lot of size, and the officiating crew is allowing Huffman to kind of bang in there and just lean in it. And if that's the case, Murray State's going to have to make some adjustments in the low post.
Well, you said it before, Bob. Huffman's the North Carolina transfer, and that was some ACC physicality that he just showed off.
He just backed in. I mean, we could analyze it all we want, Connor, but he was allowed to do it, and that's worth noting as we continue on.
Played sparingly for Roy Williams in 3 years. Brandon Huffman did in Chapel Hill. Did deal with a knee injury, so that held him down a little bit late in his time there. And there's a kicked ball, so Murray keeps it on the sidelines.
One of the things I wanted you to notice about Murray State is seemingly in each possession, at least 4 players will touch the basketball. They'll rotate across the formation. Just take a look at this. And that's worth noting because that leads obviously to balanced scoring. That's a mathematical probability, but they work both sides of the floor. And now Williams has an easy lane there with possibly a flop by Huffman.
Well, Jacksonville State knows that they got Williams in foul trouble. They tried to tag a second one on him there, but Purdue didn't get the call.
Notice the ball reversal of that sequence in by Murray State and the fact that many of them touched the basketball and that trip down the floor.
Deep three for Adams, and it rattles down, and he shoots an arrow on his way back. He deserves it, too. That was about a 30-footer from Darian Adams.
And keep in mind, he had 30 the last time these two played, so he's beginning to feel it.
Now, that was the first 30-point game for a Gamecock in 2 years, going back to 2019. Bostic stop and start, and he loses it with 9 to shoot. Check this out.
Deep. That's the one word I have for that.
Good archery skills, too. That was good form.
I thought it was. It got right in the middle. Bullseye.
Clock a factor here for Tevin Brown, and with 5 in the clock, he got it up, but down to Huffman. So you said it in your keys. Can you find enough scoring if you're Jacksonville State? They started slow, but coming on strong here mid-first half.
A good ball rotation again, in this case for Jacksonville State. See how Williams runs down to that secondary break, and they just like to basically hand the ball off to him top of the key.
And Jay Powell was having none of that. Under 8 in the first half. The winners on to the semifinals tomorrow night.
Your top salesman is working from home while working to close a deal. What does Uncle Larry decided to stop by 2 weeks ago? This looks like a job for Smile Power. Good thing your employees have dental insurance backed nationally by over 65 years of molar defending experience. So their healthy deal closers are always ready to close. Unleash your Smile Power with Delta Dental of Tennessee. Talk to your employer or visit coveryourmouth.com today to learn more.
Visit Evansville, Indiana, where E is for everyone. Ideal for a weekend getaway, family reunion, group tour, concert or sporting event, small business meeting, or a large convention. Evansville has a fun, friendly environment with all the amenities of a big city. Exciting events, festivals, and attractions all year long. A thriving downtown with new hotels, nightlife, fabulous restaurants, and entertainment. We're conveniently located in the heart of the Midwest with all the charm you could ever hope for. Yes, Hoosier hospitality is alive and well. Come visit Evansville and you will see E is for everyone.
I'm Chad Miles, host of Kentucky Afield, the longest-running outdoor show in the nation. I've had the privilege of watching Kentucky's elk herd grow to the largest east of the Mississippi, attaining Boone and Crockett status, and I've shared in some amazing elk hunts along the way. This year, nearly 600 tags are available to the public, and you can take your pick of tags to put in for and possibly go on the hunt of a lifetime. Simply apply by April 30th for your chance to hunt elk right here in Kentucky.
Tournament bracket is brought to you by Graduate Nashville Hotel. When you're in Nashville for a big game, Graduate Nashville is the smartest place to stay. Well, last night, Belmont was in a close one, down to 10-point game there late in the second half, but they pulled away late. So the 1 seed is on to the semifinals tomorrow night. Morehead State held SEMO to 54 points, and they're on to the semifinals as well. And good one so far here, 3-point game, 3-6 later tonight. It's EKU and their rapid pace against Austin Peay and the Player of the Year, Terry Taylor.
Expect more of the same when we get to game number 2 tonight.
More of the same as in close
great guard
game.
play.
Yeah.
Tight game, great guard play.
And so far in this one, it's been gridlock. Nobody's really gone on a long run. It's been, like you said, the seesaw so far. Jacksonville State was plus 13 in the first half a week ago when they played down in Alabama, and then they were even in the second half. So a continuation of the second half of that game, and Brandon Huffman spikes that out of there. Jay Powell left alone, and it's short tracked down by Tevin Brown.
Watch Brown run the floor here. Teammates did get down to help him out a bit then. Offense starts with KJ Williams top.
Oh, man. Brown saw about 4 different guys flash in front of him and try to stop him. So this is the Huffman block the last time. And ouch. Chico Carter taking a hard fall. We've seen, you called him a beast earlier. We've seen some beastly plays with a dunk and a couple of blocks from Huffman already.
Both averaged 30 plus. I say both. KJ Williams and Huffman's what I'm referring to. Both averaged better than 30 minutes a game, so we're going to see a lot of them.
Tevin Brown makes the correction on the second one. And Justice Hill back in for the Racers. Hill was a guy that, the first month of the year, he was the starting point guard. He's been coming off the bench for most of the OVC. But he's an electric athlete, can change games defensively, and we'll try to lock down Jalen Finch here. Here is that matchup. Finch going inside, and that's a block. You had McMullen stepping in to try to take the charge, and they get that on Justice Hill before he banged in.
Very good defensive technique there. Just didn't get the call.
So that's the second foul on Hill already. But he's staying in. So bonus the rest of the first half for JSU. Down to 10 to shoot here. Adams already hit from deep. Not here. Williams clears it up for Murray State.
Adams is not as effective off the dribble in shooting the threes than he is just a catch and shoot.
He's got to exert a lot of energy tonight, too. Adams is the top scorer, but he's also got to chase around Tevin Brown. And that hangs up and down for Justice Hill. So pays off to keep him in the game with 2 fouls.
Well, we'll see how much longer that will go. But the Racers need more productivity out of that guard to complement Tevin Brown. And he thought early in the season Hill was the guy.
Well, Murray State thought that was a carry from Henry. Possession stays alive for the Gamecocks. And they will get their turnover. Steps called on Huffman.
In the game for Jacksonville State, number 5,
So this was the potential carry that was not.
in the game for Murray State, number 13, Devin Gilmore.
That's good defense in the interior by McMullen. And again, nobody envies his job tonight with Huffman in the low post. Kind of the word neutralize comes to mind if McMullen could just kind of get by tonight and neutralize and limit Huffman. Probably say job well done.
KJ Williams, he blew the layup but then got it back.
Basket by KJ Williams.
Ordinarily, if you're Williams, you dunk that. You're that close to it.
I think he was surprised by how he was left alone.
Didn't get the rotation to him in time.
So we've been tied 4 different times in this first half, and free throws for Ingumezi to try to get it back to even for a 5th time. And Bob, that's number 2 on KJ Williams.
5'11" and a half. It's kind of a risk reward here for Murray State, whether to leave him in the game.
Well, remember, no DeMond Robinson in the post, out for the 3rd game in a row with a knee. He's
there's your answer.
A 6'8" player at 255 that's out, and McMullen is coming right back in for KJ Williams.
Matt McMahon making that decision very quickly.
And you'd think it'd be 5 minutes of sitting now. But we'll see. He had to sit in the first half of the game last week, and JSU pulled away in the first half. As there's an air ball off the shot from Chico Carter.
I think Carter realized how deep he was. That ball was terribly short and had bad form, so I think he was a little surprised.
Well, Ray Harper's trying to wrap his mind around a couple of these travel calls. He had something to say after the Huffman travel a few possessions ago. That one came from Finch. You see so many screens set for Tevin Brown. He dished off to Gilmore, who shoots nothing but layups.
And that's the end result. And Gilmore's doubled in the low post. Once Williams cleared out, it still makes the shot.
So Murray State looking for some more from Gilmore and McMullen, with Robinson out with injury. KJ Williams on the bench right now, 2 fouls. Finch got off a 3, and there you go. Devin Gilmore giving you some rebounding. Tevin Brown drains the transition 3. And for the first time in this half, a run that forces a timeout. Murray State goes up 6.
Damari King just gets lost defensively, and you might want to find 10 in the corner.
You can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
You can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and you can tell this is really crispy, juicy, and tender because we wouldn't take the time. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better than crispy, juicy, and tender, we went. When we say crispy, juicy, tender, this is the juicy and
Well, 5-0 run by Murray State, 6-point lead overall. Watch Tevin Brown, the entry pass to Gilmore off the bench, off the glass and good. And then losing Tevin Brown in transition, as I mentioned leading into the break, not a good thing.
Well, you said you read that somewhere, that's not a good idea.
I did. It's in the book of every other school in the OVC that's not named Murray State. Find Tevin Brown in transition.
Well, the junior out of Alabama crossed into 1,000-point territory in non-conference, and he's kept it coming. Almost 15 points a game this year. And Jacksonville State took the timeout, trying to stop the 5-0 run that feels big in this first half, the way it's gone. We've been tied 5 times. Henry's short, Ngumezi, and they're scrapping between two, and McMullen pulled it out of there for Murray State. So
well, you're getting some bonus contributions by McMullen tonight. And again, 3 defenders in the low post, and McMullen with the denial. And then coming back through is Jacksonville State touching it last. And so fundamentally out of that timeout, Jacksonville State did everything they wanted to. They reversed the ball both sides of the floor and still got a wide open 3 they couldn't hit.
They got an open 3, almost had a second chance as well. It's one of the best rebounding teams in this conference. Jacksonville State rarely ever gives you a second chance on defense. And how about that drive from Kane Henry? Lost his footing there for a second.
Oh, Henry. He got off a screen and just worked his way all the way from the free throw line in. And again, if Henry and Huffman could just get going simultaneously, gotta really like that if you're Jacksonville State.
Well, that would go back to the point in the beginning about getting enough scoring to go with the defense. And Tevin Brown gets fouled.
It's not that Brown is a great shot creator, which he is, but it's inside the offense of Murray State. And he's just going right to the basket there and gets hammered by Ngumezi.
Ngumezi just picked up his second foul.
You know, there's an offensive set that you're going to run, and then there's the creativity inside of that Tevin Brown brings, and that's what I'm trying to highlight here. This guy has got a lot of talent. A lot of times you'll see him in mid-shot shift hands. Really high on Tevin Brown.
Well, you think about how he's evolved throughout his career. His role his freshman season was basically, hey, spread the floor, stand in the corner, and hit a bunch of threes while John Morant creates. Now he is creating his own shot.
Mission accomplished in both jobs, right?
Yeah. Finch turns the corner. Traffic came and deflection from Devin Gilmore.
Generally, that's automatic for Finch.
Here's Brown creating his own shot one more time, and a foul.
Now, I will say that is not in the greater offensive set and scheme. That's all Tevin Brown in that situation.
Team 6 at the line for Murray State. Tevin Brown for 1 shot.
Well, Devin Gilmore spurred the run that almost won Murray the game at Murray. And he started this break that led to the Brown bucket.
Gilmore's been outstanding off the bench. I think I've said it once already. I'll say it again. Give them good minutes.
So just biggest lead of this first half for Murray State.
And it's 7. That's exactly what I was going to say. Just a 7-point game. Doesn't quite have that heavyweight fight feel, but when you get out here with McMullen and Huffman, it might be. That's not for the faint of heart.
Deep three for King. Swirled out, then back in. So King's knocked down a couple of threes here in the first half. And that's what got JSU going on their earlier run. And now Adams draws the offensive foul on the screen. It's on Bostic.
Let's take a look at this right here. That is called an illegal screen.
That's going over the middle and getting popped on a crossing route. Man.
That is not a flop either. That is a legitimate hit and fall. Look at this.
Huffman got fouled on the ground. Kind of had a little hop skip there, like he was going to go up for an alley-oop.
Yeah, I thought that's what the play was designed for. They got him free around the edge. And this lob pass has the look, just a poor pass. I think that was intended to be an alley-oop, Connor. I think you're correct.
Well, Huffman missed it, and it'll stay with JSU. So miss on the front end. Now JSU will be in the double bonus the rest of the way after that miss from Huffman.
I have to admit, I just looked up at the clock and said, wow, there's just a minute 34 here in the first half. It's been wildly entertaining and for the most part, well played.
Time flies when you're seeing 4 games of ball in your case. Seeing ghosts last night.
Yeah, these two teams are up and down the floor.
10 to shoot, balls in the hands of Adams. Murray's contained him in this first half, but they fouled the shooter. It did come inside the arc, but Gilmore hit Darian Adams.
Adams has struggled to get his shot tonight, and he's trying to create here. And that's a close one as well, but again, once you commit to going in the air, you must do your best to draw the foul here. Now we're going to see big free throws upcoming for Darian Adams.
Well, it wasn't the plan for Jacksonville State to necessarily go out and get a bunch of transfers and be new like they have with a lot of their new pieces. But, I mean, when a guy like Darian Adams comes available, transfer from Troy, you got to pull the trigger, especially a guy you're familiar with, playing him a couple of times.
Well, not only that, it's in the geographic region. There's just a lot of advantages to that. And he's been a great surprise once he got to that team.
And Brown was posted up, and JSU had it go off at them out of bounds. So yeah, Darian Adams, he's from Montgomery, Alabama, a great player at Carver High School before he committed to Troy. And this is the crescendo for him. He's gone 3 points a game, 8 points a game, 12 in his final year at Troy, and now 16 in all OVC first team pick. As Huffman says, get out of here one more time. So final minute of a tight first half. Murray State had it to a 7-point game, and JSU, just before the break, can tie or take the lead right here. Here is Adams, step back three. Ooh, in and out. Huffman wrestles it away again. And the hook won't go, and Gilmore is there to rip it away. 2 chances there for JSU.
And Murray will hold for the final shot here. And Huffman, minimum triple teamed. And again, being that close to the basket, he would prefer just to go up and dunk it. He was that deep. But there's just so many bodies and so much traffic around him.
Let's see if Tevin Brown gets this last shot up for Murray State. Down to 2 here. And it's a travel. No shot for Murray State. And now JSU has 1.7 to get one up.
And that's a close one. They get Bostic.
Well, we've had 4 ties and 8 lead changes in this first half. Trying to add another one here for JSU. King gets it up, and he can't hit it at the horn. And it'll be Murray State surviving some of the foul trouble and the injury to DeMond Robinson. KJ Williams didn't play the final 5 minutes, but JSU cuts into that 7-point lead to make it 2.
Biggest point you just made, KJ Williams, with that foul trouble, set the final 5 of the first half. When he returns, this will be a much different game, as if it's not already.
All right, Bob, we're having fun in Evansville through one half of our third quarterfinal. The winner's on to the semifinals to face the 1 seed, Belmont. Halfway home, it's Murray.
No team has been dominant so far. The score all the way down through the statistics, and you should have no expectation that will be any different here in the second half.
Halftime stats brought to you by Game Time Hydration, the official sports drink of the OVC. All right, so 20 minutes to a semifinal. Somebody's going to meet Belmont tomorrow and try to knock off the top seed.
Boy, could you imagine how good the game is going to be between either one of these two teams for their interior offense and defense against the likes of Buzinski and Hollander tomorrow night?
Well, there you see it again. It's Huffman influencing another shot.
And McMullen come through your screen just moments ago, and he has been really solid tonight as well.
So the transfer out of North Carolina, Brandon Huffman, having a big role inside the paint tonight. He's shadowing KJ Williams here. Forced him to give it up. McMullen into the shot blocker. Offensive rebound, and KJ Williams there to put it back.
So Williams starts the first half with a three-pointer. Starts the second half with his interior presence, and you just have to wonder out loud, are you going to see more of KJ Williams in the interior or just more of the overall same offensive flow Murray State has?
Well, Bob, he's already been more productive than he was in the loss last week against JSU. And another rebound here for KJ Williams. He's a double-double machine. You got to have him on the floor if you're Murray State. And Huffman one more time. My goodness. Brandon Huffman has been magnetic down there in the paint tonight. So off the miss from Finch. Showed you that pack on the Racers running in the first half. And JSU's back to stop him from getting another transition bucket. Chico Carter running the point for Murray State. Huffman came on the hedge. And an air ball on a three for Deontay Bostic. And there's a hand check on the drive by Adams. Get that one on Chico Carter.
Little lazy defense of sorts by Carter with that hand check, and saw him surge a bit in the first half on the offensive end, but that's not going to get it done. Darian Adams, as I mentioned in the open, is a solid guard, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and could very well be the difference here in the end for Jacksonville State.
Well, he's been blanketed tonight by Carter. You said it in the first half, Bob. Some tough earned shots. Did get 7 points, but high volume from him. And a great catch in from Jay Powell. How about Huffman setting him up?
Powell pretty much non-existent in the first half, and put the assist in the books for Huffman in that case.
So he's doing it all now. He's thrown down an authoritative dunk. And they got a foul on JSU here. Jalen Finch is...
I think Jalen Finch may have...
He thinks it's a jump
pretty good argument here. See if we got all ball.
Well, and then the other thing is that they called a foul on him, and Bostic initiated that originally.
Yeah. And of course, our replay picked up just a little bit beyond that. I'm gonna side with 0 on that one.
Well, Powell had the defense, even though he didn't know it.
He sure did. Almost inadvertently kicked it off his shin. Well, Henry just hasn't been a big factor with 6 for Jacksonville State, but I just felt like he would be more active, particularly in the low post.
Well, there you go. An awakening for Kane Henry, and JSU has an early second half lead.
But in the wrong position. I thought we'd see him down low, Connor. You can't do that. I think he could be somewhat of an X factor as well.
Well, he's a good outside shooter. Kane Henry at 36% in the season.
Why don't you tell everybody where he's from?
He's from London, England. You told us in the first half.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah, you did.
I think that's pretty cool.
I thought you were going to say it in an accent. But.
Well, no, but I wouldn't want to be in one of those phone booths over there with him, that's for sure. And it's felt that way in the low post tonight. You got Huffman, you got Williams down there. You bring Henry in, McMullen. A lot of banging going down in the low.
Well, Justice Hill, one of the small guys, trying to mix it up inside, but he missed.
And the big guy with the rebound, Huffman.
So it was Murray State 7-point lead late in the first half. And now it's a scoring drought of almost 4 minutes for Murray State here in the second half. JSU's up 1. Here's their top scorer, Darian Adams. And another contested shot for Adams tonight.
Not quite sure what this continued dribbling is about. They should be able to get into their offense a little bit quicker than that. And if that's the result of it, that's a lot of wasted time, just not getting where they needed to be. In the end, you get it to KJ Williams.
Yeah, these were games played in the 80s in the regular season, both won by JSU, but defensive-minded tonight.
We build on success and the success of others. But we are more than sports. We are institutions that play a special role. We are a community that cares, supporting one another beyond the field of competition. Now and always, we are all together. We are all the Ohio Valley Conference.
You don't become a legend by being distracted. Legends are born out of discipline and focus. We are Legends Bank. Committed, strong, and growing stronger. Be part of something legendary. Legends Bank. Member FDIC.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
Connor Onion, Bob Belvin back with you in Evansville in quarterfinal number 3, winner to the semifinals. And Bob, JSU grades out extremely high in basically every single defensive category.
Top to bottom, and the numbers play out to this point. Both of these teams have been playing outstanding defense, JSU in particular, holding Murray State to just 33% from the field.
It was KJ Williams coming out of the halftime break with the layup, and since then, Murray State hasn't scored, and Chico Carter just stepped into the backcourt.
So again, notch it up, a forced turnover. Had to throw that pass deep coming out of the timeout.
Well, Jacksonville State, I guess the one thing that you could nitpick with their defense is they don't turn you over a lot, but Murray State was turnover prone in their final weekend of the regular season.
Yeah, that's the reason those big losses there toward the end. Kind of keeping an eye on Huffman as he went to the JSU bench, and he caught him on the Jumbotron and on the monitor, just kind of grimacing in pain. So we'll keep an eye on that knee, and that's a big knee. We talked about Bazinski's ankle last night, right? Might have put Huffman's knee in that category as well.
Oh, Finch got all the way in there and couldn't finish amongst the trees. And Brown saves it. But you're right, Huffman had the knee issue when he was at North Carolina. COVID actually helped that. He could just rest it, and then Huffman came back in September. Hasn't had any issues since then.
Did you like the old school play they did by Tevin Brown? Did you see that? He was teetering on the sideline, potentially turning the ball over, and just threw the ball off the leg of the defender out of bounds.
And now he gets the foul called on JSU.
I mean, that's stuff from the YMCA on a Saturday afternoon. I love it by Tevin Brown.
Need some rec specs to do that move.
He can handle it.
So Jay Powell's coming out here.
Keep in mind, there's a much smaller lineup on the floor for JSU at this time, obviously without Huffman.
Hey, you got to get out on Brown.
Darian Adams forgot that measure of defense. Very curious as to how this smaller lineup for Jacksonville State will play out.
Let's see if they put it in the hands of Adams more. He goes into the bigs. KJ Williams walls him off. And Adams behind the play looking for a foul. Murray State's not stopping, but that'll stop him. A turnover for Chico Carter.
Well, Henry down the floor with good defense, but the intent when Hill picks up the loose ball to go all the way. Little mix inside, not the switch off, and Tevin Brown hits the three.
Big defensive numbers for Jacksonville State tonight, but trailing by 2. Trying to get it back to even here, and KJ Williams and Devin Gilmore a force inside. Gilmore's not a guy that shoots a lot. You could argue he's been the most important player in these 2 JSU games so far. Second chance off the miss from Brown from Williams. Got Hill at 3, and then cleared out of there by Ingumezi.
2 very good looks for Murray State in that last sequence, and rather surprised they couldn't find one of those 2 to the bottom.
King hit a couple of big shots in the first half. He's back in there for Powell. And Finch, the guy that normally initiates the offense. Ingumezi, power ball, and it slides off. Good shots available right now for JSU, but a couple of 5-footers that they missed.
And for both clubs, for that measure.
Tevin Brown slipping loose. Sandy banks it in.
Immediately when Damari King comes out to guard Brown, he realized the mismatch that he had and went right to the rack.
So this second half is flipped. It was Murray State that was on the big scoring drought. Now Jacksonville State is trying to buy a bucket. Ingumezi, nope.
Boy, Adams real lucky then. He didn't touch the ball in the cylinder.
Brown. Oh, he's on fire right now. Tevin Brown igniting the Murray State crowd that's here. That's 8 in a row, and Tevin Brown with a big flurry here for Murray State. They've matched their biggest lead. Timeout JSU.
Do not let this man get hot.
You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1.
There was this kind of opportunity to learn from others. I think I just want to continue to.
You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip.
Tevin Brown just went on an individual run. It's actually going to be a 7-0 run, Bob. They went to the monitor.
So we've talked about ankles and knees today, so now let's talk about toes. And you can see from the replay there, Brown just over the line.
You'd think you worked in physical therapy.
Might know somebody that does.
Well, 6-point lead for Murray State, and Tevin Brown, he's from Alabama. He's from Fairhope, Alabama, so playing against a home state team tonight. Well, what a career it's been for him. Scored 2,000 points when he was at Fairhope High School down there in Alabama. Passed 1,000 this year. And has an outside shot at getting to 2,000 in his Murray State career. He's a redshirt junior. And he's got the defense here on King. Gave it up, and the three goes down for JSU. And that's from Jawan Purdue, and that was a much-needed bucket after the Tevin Brown run.
Now one of the unlikely suspects coming out of the timeout to get to Purdue, and that's just a bonus for JSU.
Justice Hill in there running the point, and Purdue bumps him with the body. So quickly back to break. They reverse the 3 to a 2 for Tevin Brown, and then JSU comes back with the Purdue 3.
Nice shot by the lefty out of the break. Hang on, it's going to be a fun 11-27.
You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You said that it couldn't be done, but you managed to pack a record 1.1. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip.
Tevin Brown was 17 on the night, but as of late, he's heated up from the outside. And now the penetration high off the glass. And then the three, later the two, just before the second to last media timeout. And that's vintage Murray State, Connor. And you can just see it in his eyes. What a great shot here. 5 of 10 from the field. I said 17. They haven't officially changed that, but 16 is the correct number and could possibly be working on another double-double tonight.
And Bob, the reason that number 16 is significant as Brown gets up another 3 and JSU gets it. But the reason that number 16 is significant, in wins this year, 16 points a game for Tevin Brown. In losses for Murray State, 12 points a game. So he's at that ledger where they're usually winning.
Yeah, nice trend line there. Here's the matchup we've been looking for all night, Adams and Brown. And to your point, both averaging nearly 16 a game.
A quick strike from Jawan Purdue, and he has been their offense the last couple minutes.
It's surprising. You got 5 out of him very quickly.
He's a guy that doesn't really shoot the ball that much, plays about 10 minutes per game off the bench, but he's been efficient over the final week of the season. Good minutes here, and he's trying to defend KJ Williams, and that's too tough.
Yeah, it's been a while. I was noticing just the rotation of the offense. When they went to the strong side, Brown shifted, and that was intentional to go into the low post to Williams.
And Bob, you were monitoring Huffman. He's back in there and fighting through Williams, and he muscles one up.
Well, that one used all of the rim, and again, goes without saying, Huffman and Williams can expect double teams at a minimum when they get it low.
The teams haven't been able to practice at the Ford Center just with everything going on with the COVID protocols, and Brandon Huffman's been power cleaning apparently. But KJ Williams, another strong move. He's got that hook shot working now.
Tell you what, hats off to these players. I've seen many of them at the old National Plaza here next to the Ford Center go for their testing at 6 and 7 a.m. in the morning.
What are you doing up that early? You got 4 games to call.
Just getting in about that time. It feels like
out from the bars.
I have heard of some places that you went yesterday evening.
Yeah, my bed.
Double duty work, right? Okay.
My bed and the desk next to the bed.
I promise you, that's the 2 places I have not turned the TV on in my room in 2 days.
We'll 10 to shoot here for Murray State. Tevin Brown. Not there, and Huffman throwing the elbows, snatching the rebound. So Murray State, a couple of times they've sniffed pulling away, but JSU's hanging in tight with their strong defense. And Finch suspended in the air there. And another close shot, Bob, that JSU can't finish.
Again, the guard play tonight has been clearly in favor of Murray State. Finch then having some problems. Adams, for the most part, not untracked with only 7. Finch with only 2. That kind of adds to Ray Harper's woes.
Tevin Brown's outscored the guards almost by himself for JSU. Adams tonight with 9 shots in the 7 points, but he'll have free shots here.
That was an interesting offensive set for JSU. Yes, I want to still, even this late in the game, relatively speaking, get Adams going. And he had to meander through a lot of traffic to draw the foul.
Meander, huh?
I should not have used that one. Navigate.
No, I liked it. No,
he had a lot of work to do. Take a look at the replay.
There
are a lot of bodies down there. This one's not for the faint of heart.
Talking to assistant Jake Morton today about scouting against Darian Adams when he was at Troy, and the first thing he says, man, and he did this deep sigh. He's like, man, I'm so happy I don't have to scout against him anymore. I'm glad he's on our team. And he brings JSU within 2. Darian Adams. And KJ Williams with a pass that was volleyed off JSU. It's kind of a blind pass. He's lucky that didn't get turned over.
That was about a 6-foot laser. I'm not so sure that Murray State in that instance would not have preferred Williams to just make a move to the basket.
Yeah, with the way he's got that hook shot working, especially. We're setting him cross screens right now to try to get him another. And through a triple team, no, but the follow for Devin Gilmore. That's what he does. Nothing outside of 2 feet for the most part for Devin Gilmore.
And that sequence had about 4 players above the rim, and Gilmore the winner in that lottery.
Henry got his own miss, and he's going to the free throw line.
There's bodies on the floor, bodies above the rim. Well, it must be early March and OVC tournament time.
Let's go, Bob. This is fun. 4-point game, winner on to the semifinals against Belmont.
Your top salesman is working from home while working to close a deal. What does Uncle Larry decided to stop by 2 weeks ago? This looks like a job for Smile Power. Good thing your employees have dental insurance backed nationally by over 65 years of molar defending experience. So their healthy deal closers are always ready to close. Unleash your Smile Power with Delta Dental of Tennessee. Talk to your employer or visit coveryourmouth.com today to learn more.
Visit Evansville, Indiana, where E is for everyone. Ideal for a weekend getaway, family reunion, group tour, concert or sporting event, small business meeting, or a large convention. Evansville has a fun, friendly environment with all the amenities of a big city. Exciting events, festivals, and attractions all year long. A thriving downtown with new hotels, nightlife, fabulous restaurants, and entertainment. We're conveniently located in the heart of the Midwest with all the charm you could ever hope for. Yes, Hoosier hospitality is alive and well. Come visit Evansville and you will see E is for everyone.
Hello, I'm Chad Miles, host of Kentucky Afield, the longest-running outdoor show in the nation. I've had the privilege of watching Kentucky's elk herd grow to the largest east of the Mississippi, attaining Boone and Crockett status, and I've shared in some amazing elk hunts along the way. This year, nearly 600 tags are available to the public, and you can take your pick of tags to put in for and possibly go on the hunt of a lifetime. Simply apply by April 30th for your chance to hunt elk right here in Kentucky.
First time since 2010 that the OVC has seeded things straight up 1 through 8. Usually the top 2 are protected, 3 and 4 get a bye, and the rest have to play their way in to the quarterfinals and semifinals. But this is fun, Bob. You get 1 versus 8 and straight through, and this 4-5 matchup has lived up to it.
Yeah, the entire bracket has been tight. Saved that 17-point win by Belmont last night, but that was a game well into the second half, and I got a feeling this one for the final 8 is going to be really fun.
So it's Henry at the free throw line. Remember, he broke out in early February. 22 points against Eastern Kentucky on 8 of 11 shooting. And since then, he's been steady. 11 points per game since then for Kane Henry. But he splits him at the line here. The biggest margin has been 7. Murray State led by as many as 6 in the second half, led by 7 in the first half. It has been tight. Had a bunch of ties and lead changes in the first half. And KJ Williams is drawing 2 or 3 bodies every time down and still scoring.
I was noticing in that offensive set, they had Gilmore, Williams, and Brown on the same side of the floor. That just creates traffic problems. And Jacksonville State just not able to adjust to that. Like the touch by KJ Williams, too.
6 to shoot here. Adams late in the clock. Drives in and scores it. What a move.
This is the time your guy needs to take over. Jalen Finch has been not existent tonight. Adams must take over right now.
So back to a 3-point game, and this time JSU keeps it out of the hands of KJ Williams.
Boy, Matt McMahon just looking for some more success like he's had on this floor.
In a title game in 3 straight years. They won it in 2018. Murray won it in 2019. And we're 3.8 seconds away from winning it last year before Tyler Scanlon and Belmont won it on a layup. 5 to shoot here. Back into Williams. Got doubled. And the kick out for Hill. And Jacksonville State gets their stop. No transition points tonight for JSU. And they won't have them here. Miss came from Damari King.
Let's watch this set here. Going to have Hill run the point. Brown, he's opposite the ball. Now Hill reversed, and they'll reverse the basketball across the court.
They're getting Williams the ball every time down as Brown took it in, but the possession still ends with KJ Williams.
Brown saw King again come out from the screen in the low post. Brown did convert, but the follow is good.
Got Henry posting up on Gilmore. Spin, couple other moves. He got fouled, and he can't stick the layup. Ooh, that would have been a big emotion bucket for JSU. Saw a couple of guys creeping off the bench ready to celebrate.
Look at Henry with the up and under. And I feel the same way you do about that. That's a big opportunity, I think, gone by the wayside for JSU.
Kane Henry is given of himself. He's committed more on the defensive end this year. The scoring has taken a little bit of a dip from his all-newcomer season last year. See Jawan Purdue coming out of the game. This is a guy, Kane Henry, that has a great background. Played at San Jacinto Junior College in Texas. They canceled basketball after his first year there, so he was looking for a new home. One more year in junior college, now a second-year player for Coach Harper here at JSU. So 4-point game. And Williams streaking in, and no finish there. And JSU's out of bounds as Finch is on the baseline.
That's a tough break for Ray Harper and his team. And the defensive effort was there, but Finch indeed had his hand on the ball while on the baseline himself.
So you get a shot clock reset at 20. And it just feels like Murray State's going to play through Williams the rest of the night. Justice Hill sneaks past, and that's off his knee. So a break back JSU's way.
Huffman just come over to check him, and that's it where it happened. Actually, Adams reached in. Could be a big turnover. We might go back to the Henry miss of just a moment ago, too.
Yeah, these close looks for JSU have been contested, and you got an open floor foul there, or else Chico Carter would have been rising up.
Notice Purdue went to the bench for JSU, and Powell, I believe, was the replacement here, and Powell's just kind of lose the handle, and that is really a good foul.
Yeah,
all things considered.
Yeah, not intentional. Tevin Brown, he's been the man tonight with KJ Williams. 16 for Brown, 19 for Williams. 8 to shoot here for Brown. It's a little two-man game with him and Williams. Williams with the rip through, rising up, and he scores it. Unstoppable right now. KJ Williams flexing for good reason.
Here comes one of those patented Murray runs where you look up and say, well, it's a 6-point game, but it feels much bigger than that. smart of Henry not to take that shot. Go a little deeper in the clock.
Adams, big hit for the Gamecocks. On a night where he hasn't had his best, he comes up in a big moment.
Still time for him to emerge. I spoke about it a few minutes ago, and he's talking up as he goes down the floor. And watch how they run Brown baseline, and he'll come back out and get the ball here. And then when they reverse that, they try and get an opportunity here for Williams. It's too late.
Huffman was shadowing. The help never came, and it's Huffman pulling down the miss from Williams.
Yeah, they were expecting that help from Williams like he talked about, or help for Williams like he talked about, and kick it back out. Didn't happen.
A chance to tie here for JSU. They were just down 6. Back into Adams, and he draws the crowd. So these are the guys right now. KJ Williams from Murray State, 21 points, approaching a double-double. And on the other end, it's Darian Adams after the bucket from KJ Williams with the big answer.
You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip. You packed a record 1.1 trillion transistors into this chip.
KJ Williams, 9 in the first half, but really getting it done here in the second. Just the turnaround. And a lot of the offense is indeed running through Williams, and why not? You hit shots like that, and now the follow off the Brown miss. Murray State by 3. It feels a whole lot more than that. And we're going to have a really strong finish here in the final 3:13. Take a look at Williams' numbers. As I mentioned, 9 in the first half, 12 now. Field goal percentage, much better opportunities inside the paint. That moves that number to 6 out of 10 here in the second half.
You see the sweet feet from KJ Williams, the former quarterback at Cleveland Central High School. He was a 6'10" quarterback at Cleveland Central High School at Mississippi. That is Jamarcus Russell type stuff for the big man, KJ Williams.
Pretty good size. How'd you like to be in college and see 6'10" coming at you as a QB?
No, thank you. But big foul shots there from Darian Adams, and this is a 1-point game, Bob. We're talking this game up together all week, and this is exactly how we thought it would be. 4 versus 5, 1 point separating the seeds that are separated by 1. Winners on to face Belmont tomorrow night in the semifinals. These two clubs have combined to win 3 of the last 4 championships at the OVC tournament. Down to 4 to shoot. Williams cradles it, and he took steps.
That's good Henry defense for JSU. You're not going to get a lot of argument with KJ Williams as he comes down the floor. He just kind of cut his lane off. Not anything fundamental there by Henry, just kind of denying him, and Williams dropped the shoulder.
So Matt McMahon hoping his team can get a stop here. Jacksonville State was just down 6. They've methodically sliced away, possession by possession. Darian Adams has gotten going late. Into Huffman, draws 2, and the hook shot gives the Gamecocks the lead.
Now keep in mind, McMullen is playing with 4 fouls, and he's on the floor, so you didn't see a lot of resistance there from him against Huffman. I'd look for that again with some kind of Adams penetration when we come the other way.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was Williams who dealt with the foul trouble in the first half. As Tevin Brown was running all over the place, and Darian Adams draws the offensive foul.
Shame on Murray State for not helping out Brown in that situation. And you're right, he was dribbling a lot. And then by the point in time when he wanted to take, see, he had the shot in the corner with Justice Hill wide open. And obviously Brown is going to draw a crowd, but shame on them for allowing him to do that and not just giving him some spacing.
You said it earlier. What's with all this dribbling? It happened again. The floater, it's off. Offensive rebound by Finch, and he traveled. So Ray Harper and Jacksonville State can't add to what's a 7-0 run. When they were down 6.
See what 0 does here with.
Yeah,
looks it. Now this has not been a banner game for Jalen Finch. Only 2 tonight.
Hey, all he cares about is team up 1 right now. Inside 2 to go.
And that guy is breathing fire right now, is Ray Harper. Look at those eyes.
Yeah. He's looking like Adam Gase. Oh, man. So timeout Murray State here. Inside 2 minutes to go. Let's take a look at Darian Adams and the night that he's had. It's been a high volume night, but here he is leading JSU with 15 points.
Now the jumper here from the outside, that's kind of his trademark, but also a couple of times here with the penetration. And this is the one I really like because KJ Williams really backed off him and thought, no way is he going to go back down low again, and he just stepped back, hit the 3.
So 3 of 11. A lot of his action in the second half has come at the free throw line. 7 of 8 at the stripe.
Well, it's creation. And Tevin Brown, we bragged about Brown being the guy that creates a lot, and no doubt there. But Adams has had to do that. He's been rather efficient tonight. Pretty good floor game. And again, as I mentioned way back in the open, he's their leader. And this has become a guard game. Yeah, we talked a lot about Huffman. We talked a lot about Williams. But in the end, it's 23 in white and 10 in blue. It's going to make the difference.
Well, what a moment for Adams. 4 years ago, didn't look like he could be in this moment. He was in a car crash, fractured a couple of vertebrae. He lost his best friends, and he's playing with some heart tonight. Well, Murray State going back into Williams. Had it tapped out. Hill 3, and he bags the 3.
Never would have expected that on the weak side with Brown just waiting for the basketball, yet Hill hits a huge 3.
So Murray State back up 2. And Justice Hill with a big shot.
Is it a little over dramatic to talk about this being a heavyweight fight? Look at this. And you can barely see Brown in your screen, and he's on the weak side. There's nobody over there to guard him, and Hill knocks it down.
So the Murray crowd that typically travels here,
well,
with the entire town of Murray behind them, they've got as big of a crowd as they're allowed here tonight. It's been obviously a little bit tamer than the past couple of years, but they're trying to advance on to where they're used to being, extended stays in Evansville.
And the Austin Peay crowd is beginning to trickle in. We've still got Austin Peay and Eastern Kentucky to come. And one of the nuances of the seating is the Murray and Austin Peay fans have to sit beside each other, a section apart. Talk about socially distanced, folks.
Well, ball in the hands of Jalen Finch, 1 possession game. JSU trying to regain the lead. They just had their long run snapped. It was 7-0 before the Hill 3. Here's Darian Adams, their guy. His three, and he rattles that home. Big shot for big shot. And a neon green light for Darian Adams here in the second half. He's got 18.
23-10 will decide this game. And all of a sudden, Adams he's just feeding off the energy, and he's just gotten hot. There's just really no way to describe it. I mean, he makes that shot over 6'10" KJ Williams in that situation. Bottom.
Oh, man, this is so much fun here in Evansville. Coming down to our final 58 seconds. It's a 1-point game. And
you can put that on repeat and on an entire reel. That's going to go on somebody's highlight reel.
Yeah, they're checking the clock here, Bob. They're probably going to put a second back on. Looks like it went through at 59. With the way this game's going, every tick, every tenth of a second might decide this one. 13 lead changes. This has been a joy to watch.
And here's the fun part. If you're Jacksonville State defensively, I mean, I've been talking Tevin Brown most of the evening. KJ Williams, do you look? You had a Hill three just a few moments ago.
And it is 1 second that gets added.
A lot to think about.
And into the half court for Matt McMahon, and that is their second to last timeout. Each team has one remaining.
30-second timeout.
Well, you got options here, Bob. You would think down one that the ball is going to touch KJ Williams' hands.
I think it should go through Williams. Don't discount Brown. And because of where you are in score, you don't need a three. You don't need the dramatic long three. You've got plenty of time. You're going to get a possession if you're JSU again. Big difference in shot clock and game clock. You can see a couple of possessions here in the final 55-5 between both of these teams, so a lot to think about.
Well, just another classic Murray State game at the Ford Center in Evansville, and JSU is trying to send the Racers home packing for the first time early in a couple of years after 3 straight trips to the championship game, including 2 titles for the Racers. Final 55, Justice Hill's running the show. He just hit that big 3 to put Murray State in front. He's on the attack here. It's a 1-point game. McMullen inside. Got it pinned. Huffman is there. Huffman has been the man at the rim tonight.
And McMullen is playing with 4 fouls.
Fouls on Murray State's number 2, Chico Carter.
So Chico Carter on the reach in. And the Gamecocks will go down the other way after this from Huffman.
Big time. And what can you say defensively? McMullen is he wants to jam it. Huffman above him with the denial. And again, there's so much time left. So much strategy still left to play out here.
Well, 1 possession game no matter what happens here with Kane Henry. And the 1-and-1 does stick. You think about the foul situation too. Murray State still a couple of JSU fouls away from shooting the bonus. Henry 1-2, and Huffman couldn't keep it alive. It's a 2-point game, so still that option to go inside to Williams if you're playing for a tie for Murray State. Murray State trying to keep their season alive. Tevin Brown to the rim, and he ties the game. It had to be this way, tied with inside 30 to go. And JSU can hold for the final shot.
And do you stay in your offense, not call a timeout? And it looks to be the case.
Now they've got one left. Ray Harper says play on. It's in the hands of Finch. Winners of the semifinals against Belmont. 5 to go. Adams has been the top scorer tonight. Working in on Brown. 1 to get it up. It's on the way. And it's off the mark, and we go to overtime. So put another 5 on the clock on the Ford Center board. It was Tevin Brown that tied it with half a minute to go. and catch our breath after this. Darian Adams got a look at a potential game winner, but Tevin Brown in his pocket.
Leaned into Brown and got a little distance. Not the cleanest shot you would have hoped for. Well, pretty typical. You got a 4 and 5 in overtime. I'm watching Matt Figure.
It's a dirty white.
Oh.
But anyway,
how about the ones with JaxState? My money's on 23 or 50 with them. How about that?
There we go. Well, 5 more to decide who gets to take a shot at the defending champs. We've seen so many Murray and Belmont matchups throughout the year. Will we get it a day early? It will be Jacksonville State keeping their stay alive here in Evansville. It's Adams working in on Brown, and he takes him to the block. And Jacksonville State with the first points of overtime.
Players play. Players take over games. And that's certainly the case with Adams, and there you go.
It's one-on-one ball right now. It's Brown and Adams all alone.
They're just smiling at each other going down the floor. And they acknowledge it in the same manner we do.
Man, how fun is this? Heart rate's high in Alabama and Kentucky right now. It's Huffman right into that same spot that Adams just scored.
Yeah, he just backed down and just created with his big, wide body.
So Murray has a chance to answer.
You can't say enough about how well Hill has played here toward the end.
Here's that matchup again. Tevin Brown gives it up. Hill snatched it on the baseline. Gave it up for Williams. What a pass from Justice Hill.
I've always argued when you make passes that well, you should be awarded 2 assists.
Stats with Bob Belvin. And a timeout for Ray Harper on the Jacksonville State sideline. Each team gets 2 here in the extra session. And Justice Hill hit a big 3 to put Murray State ahead in regulation, and he had the pass here.
He's been solid in the second half, and defensively, Huffman just kind of drifted back out toward Hill and left a gap underneath, and give Hill the credit with a dart.
Well, it's been a year of, at times, survival. That's fitting with DeMond Robinson injured, out tonight for Murray State. Has been with the knee injury the last 3 games. And also plenty of frustration for a team that's used to being at the top or near the top of this conference for Murray State. And Jacksonville State's giving them everything tonight, trying to beat them for the 3rd time.
Yeah, you're talking about a team that's just about 500 in Murray State, and that's unheard of. And Jacksonville State a little bit better than that. And then Jacksonville State gets to sweep of Murray State in the regular season. Those are things that are unheard of. Murray State goes to Tennessee Tech and loses. And there's just a lot of different variants to the season. And, you know, again, talked about it time and time again, there's been no real playbook, no real handbook. When you talk about tonight's game, this is the kind of game that we expected to experience maybe in February, maybe in mid-January, but it's finally on arrival where it needs to be.
Oh, yeah, remember, Murray State was the preseason co-favorite with Austin Peay. Their most losses in the OVC since the late 70s, but here they are. You said this game right here could be a launching point. Whoever comes out of this game and survives this, you feel's got a good shot to win the title.
Yeah, I made a bold prediction I'm not going to share on air, but yeah, I can feel very much that same way. One of these 2 teams, I feel, is going to at least be playing for the championship.
I say you let it air out. Let the people hear it.
Well, after the result of this one, I'll decide which way I'll go with it.
All right.
I just hedged.
You're going to see if your hindsight is correct. I got you.
We'll see.
Okay.
Ray Harper worrying out the Coca-Cola tonight.
No caffeine needed for this one.
No. I don't believe either coaches sleep during this time of year. You know, we saw Matt McMahon come out early, and there was nobody on the floor. It was just him and a quiet arena.
He was taking it in. Don't see that a lot. So who's going home? Who's headed to the semifinals against Belmont? 3 minutes in overtime. And each team has had 2 baskets since the extra period started. Adams with 4 to shoot. Backing up on Brown. And he got a 3. Well, they called it 2. He thought it was a 3. He flashed 3. And Ray Harper is asking them to check it. Regardless, a big shot from Adams.
Huffman came out and chipped Tevin Brown defensively against Adams. I'm not seeing that so far this evening.
Well, Brown's got Adams on skates. And you got an arm bar called on Jacksonville State. So was it 2 or was it 3? It was correctly called a 2 for Darian Adams.
Ray Harper is going to get them to look at it.
He'll get a free timeout here, and well, this is...
Make no mistake, 1 point is crucial. Earlier we had a discrepancy in the official statistics and what was on the Jumbotron, so to make sure that we tighten that up. Not much discussion.
Nobody's missed yet in overtime. Jacksonville State with 3 field goals. And Murray State had the 2 to answer back. Now Brown at the free throw line to try to tie it.
Brown 4 of now 5 of 8 on the night, but overall not one of the better free throw shooters on the team, but they are huge right now.
Nails for Tevin Brown. He's been here before. Won a championship as a redshirt freshman. Came within seconds of going back-to-back last year. Hoping to stay another night in Evansville. Knotted up again. 6 apiece in overtime. 63 apiece. Huffman in on McMullen. Can't give up that 5th foul, and McMullen did just enough to force the turnover.
I think if you're McMullen at this point, you just play all out and not worry about fouling out. And that may very well have been what he did right here. And I bodied Huffman, and that just is a pass Huffman has made all season long. And perhaps at the most crucial time of the season, he throws it across the scorer's table.
Well, there's where McMullen has a bit of an edge in that matchup with length. He's given up some weight in that matchup tonight. And Tevin Brown with another big shot, stepping back.
Absolutely. Moved the defender inside. And that step back shot right on the money.
So Murray State's got an overtime lead. Huffman and McMullen again. Ball rotates around to Kane Henry, but he was cut off. Final 10 seconds on the clock here. JSU trying to get it back to even. Finch reversed it and scored it. Oh, man, we are seeing a show tonight. Late in this game, back and forth, 8 apiece in overtime, tied up again.
Must I remind you, that's only Finch's 4th point of the night. And I've been somewhat critical of him because he's been non-existent. And in a big moment, he has no problem driving the lane with the finger roll.
Right back to Tevin Brown. Got it over Huffman. And Brown sneaks back in there and then lost it off his knee. Murray State fans think there was a foul, but that was an all-out dive from Brown there to try to save it.
Let's take a look. Right off the left knee.
Well, you saw a little extension from Finch. There was nothing too aggressive there, though, I thought.
Play on.
Well, what a game. Final minute of overtime. Winner faces Belmont tomorrow in the semifinals. We'll give out a bid to the NCAA tournament this week. Who's going home early? Who's staying one more night? 9 to shoot. It's Finch. Stepping back. And it's off. Offensive rebound. And it's stuck back on the reverse by Henry.
Oh, Henry. What a play.
Henry flying in there. And the biggest lead in overtime has been 2 on each side. And a 10-second differential in the half court for Murray State. Now, Henry had the reverse to put Jacksonville State up 2. That's great board work from him.
This is fabulous. And over KJ Williams, too. I think Williams actually thought, when you look at that sequence, no way he's going to throw a reverse off the glass.
Yeah, that's a good point. KJ Williams with a 23.9 rebound night. Where's your head here if you're Murray State? You got a 10-second differential. If you want to, you can milk clock down, play for a tie or a lead. But you also risk the chance of JSU going down with a lot of clock left if you go quick.
Well, I think you go medium quick, right? I think you go within the first 12 to 15 seconds. I don't think you let the clock get below 10 because, should you not be able to get a rebound off a miss, and you've got to account for fouling and going back and forth. So I think you need to get in there early.
Oh, ball ping-pongs around, and it's out of bounds off Justice Hill. So only 6 seconds came off the clock, but now the shot clock's off, and Murray State doesn't get one up toward the rim.
Tough luck here for Murray. The pass is deflected by Henry off of Brown, and it bounces off of Hill and then goes out of bounds.
Oh, you had Brown going downhill, too. He had a good chance to score that or at least dish it off for a layup.
Henry creates that with a defensive deflection.
It was a tough spot to get it in here, and a double team's coming on Finch, and he lost it momentarily, and a timeout for JSU. That's their last, and that thing was teetering in the corner for JSU, and that pressure came from Murray State on the double.
It's a full timeout.
Well, Henry didn't help him out any by not clearing space out and allowing defenders to come in and trap Finch along the baseline. I'm going to be kind of critical of Henry there. And how do you hand the ball off on the baseline? I know you're supposed to get it to a guard, and you're the big guy, Henry, but that's a very bad place. I think if you're Henry, you should try and move the ball up the floor.
Well, and if you don't get that timeout, this game's tied.
If you didn't have it, that's exactly right. Think about it if you didn't have it.
Well, remember the role that Devin Gilmore played in the first game they played in the regular season against Jacksonville State. It was a 13-point game with about 2 minutes to go. McMahon puts Gilmore into the game. He's at the top of the press like we saw him right there and just created havoc, and Murray almost came back to win. He's in a little bit different situation here, down 2 with 24 seconds in the season on the line, but his impact being felt in that front court right now.
Yeah, let's see what personnel-wise. I notice, and they're going to come out with Martin Robe. First time we've seen him tonight, the big guy out of the Czech Republic. So JSU's coming in with size. Robe's got fouls to burn, but you don't want to be fouling Williams, and that's where it's going to match up, at least early.
I think Robe's in there to set a bunch of screens, try to get these guards free. No timeouts for JSU, and Robe's trying to track it down, and Williams comes up with it. So JSU was going to be fouled and go to the free throw line to try to go up 4, and now Murray has a chance to tie or win it. KJ Williams got it back, and Murray can't convert, and it's tapped out off of Brown. Oh, what a scramble that was. Nearly a 5-second call. It turns into a turnover, and a good look at a 3 for KJ Williams.
Watch Brown crash. I'm more interested in what transpired about 10 seconds before this.
See whose ball this is.
Henry's hand comes across Tevin Brown's left arm. How in the world do you design a play to throw the deep ball to Martin Robe just off the bench? I don't believe that was designed by Ray Harper in that huddle going in to that inbounds.
No, that was
okay, that's first mistake.
No,
second mistake is you let Brown free and penetrate, kick it back out to Williams. Williams had a wide open 3. So Jacksonville State is super lucky here. Watch this play here. No way in the world are you throwing that deep ball to Martin Robe. So Williams tracks it down. They have a chance to get back in their offense, and then they commit another Cardinal sin of defense. They leave Williams alone at the top of the key.
And some understandable anxiety in a big moment. Season's on the line. It is interesting to see Martin Robe in this game. Hadn't seen him yet tonight. About 5 minutes per game for him. And it looks like he's going to stay on the floor here with the final 10 seconds to decide this game.
What a crazy sequence. They're still checking, I believe, is the officiating crew, just to determine here. Boy, Adams was underneath Brown. Watch Adams, 23.
Yeah. Well, and then...
Oh, did it go off his right hand, Adams, in that case?
When you're wondering about after the initial touch from Adams, it comes off the left hand of Brown.
Notice they're not showing it here in the arena. Let's see. I'm talking...
There's no way that...
Right there, I thought it caught Adams.
There's no way that Henry got it because he grabbed the arm of Tevin Brown.
Correct, coming across.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's straight arm. Oh, and there's a chance that right-handed Tevin Brown got it with the fingernail, too. I mean, you've got like 6 different pressure points here that could have been the last touch. And they are going to rule that it's 11-5 on the clock, and JSU's getting the ball. So you can't run here, and you've got that same group that was just on the floor that led to the turnover and the miss on the KJ Williams 3.
Now Matt Figure and A.W. Hamilton have come out of their respective tunnels again. They want to watch this.
Well, of great interest to Belmont looking on tonight as well. They'll get the winner of this game. Working extra time to determine who goes to the semis. Well, close play on the inbound again, and they get a foul on DeQuan Smith.
Fouls on Murray State's number 1, DeQuan Smith.
Big free throws upcoming here for Jacksonville State. That time they got it right. And by that, I mean, Robe does not go down the floor. Henry goes on the flyer into the deep court. You can see him way down. And that's a close one there. Free throw time's upcoming, and all of a sudden, Jalen Finch has inserted himself into the game.
And for Jacksonville State, number 3,
Marosh Zelisnak is onto the floor for the first time, too. The reserve big man for JSU. 2 big free throws here for King, or a 1-and-1 rather. And he hits the front end. So that was the big one for King. 1 timeout for Murray State. And it's a 1-possession game. So Murray State will have a chance to send it to a second overtime. And a foul given. That's the final foul to give for JSU.
And I like the strategy. You know, coaches, commentators, everybody talks about it. If you got a 3-point lead, do you foul or do you try and play defense and run the risk of having a 3-point shot against you or a fouling on a 3-point attempt?
So timeout taken by Murray State. They get it now after you would think they anticipated that JSU would use their final foul. So what are you setting up here?
I would in that case.
What are you setting up here?
Well, I would almost sound like a broken record if I told you 10, 23. I think you need to get some kind of isolation for Brown in the same manner that you've looked at earlier with Hill, where Hill's kind of emerged here in the last couple of minutes in regulation and overtime. I think you get an isolation, but I also think for rebounding purposes, I think you make sure that in your alignment for Murray State that you've got Williams and Brown on opposite sides of the floor. Yeah, I think it allows to draw your defense to it a little bit more. We'll see. Always the guy inbounding you want to watch here. That's going to be Hill, but you for sure are going to want to watch for Tevin Brown.
Here is Tevin Brown, turned around in the corner for the tie. Can't get it. Clock winding down. Murray getting one up with Hill, and it won't go. And Jacksonville State is on to the semifinals.
Jacksonville State will take on the number 2 seed Morehead State Eagles in the OVC Men's Basketball Championship semifinals tomorrow at 9:30.
Two shots from three-point range.